Welcome to the Sparkroom webinar series. Sparkroom provides full-service, data-driven marketing and technology solutions to ignite your performance marketing. Our webinars provide actionable advice and insight to help you better strategize, execute, analyze, and optimize your marketing campaign efforts.
Good afternoon. My name is Michelle Verlin, and I'm the Marketing Manager here at Sparkroom. I'd like to welcome everyone to today's webinar, 15 Red Flags that Show Your Paid Search Campaign Has Room for Improvement. Sparkroom is a leader in performance marketing, providing fully transparent, analytics-based strategies that achieve challenging marketing objectives. Today's presenter is Chelsea Hicken, a Senior Paid Search Strategist with Sparkroom. Since we promised to keep the content portion of this webinar to 15 minutes, I'll hand it right over to Chelsea to get us started.
Thanks, Michelle. So today I'll be walking through a list of red flags that might alert you to the fact that your PPC campaign isn't as optimized as it could be. So the first item here is campaign structure, which is really one of the most important aspects when setting up a campaign. You want your structure to match your business or your website so that the right settings can be applied and you can easily assess performance. Too many campaigns likely means your visibility. Too few campaigns would mean that your visibility is limited, and too many campaigns can become difficult to manage. If your brand has multiple locations, those should be structured into separate campaigns. Very often we see accounts with only a few campaigns targeting collective geos for multiple locations, but this makes it very difficult to view performance for each individual location, and then we don't have the flexibility to optimize accordingly. A given keyword list may perform well for location A, but not so much for location B, so we'd want the ability to push bids and budget for location A and pull back and optimize differently for location B. And lumping targeting all together also makes it harder to quickly identify, a struggling location or a particular conversion issue at a given location that we'd want to address right away. The second item is all about the network. So the content and search networks on Google and Bing are very different channels, and these should be targeted in separate campaigns. This is another no-brainer, but we do see this often where campaigns are targeting both the search and the content network together. We always recommend separating these out since performance on each of these networks is very different, and very often these campaigns have very different goals. Next up is brand terms. So many marketers assume that if they're ranking well organically, there's no need to be bidding on their brand terms in paid search. But this is not true. Like this image suggests, not including your brand terms is like creating all of this brand awareness from your non-brand terms and then falling flat before the finish line since you might not capture that branded search. Most searchers don't differentiate between a paid and an organic listing and will almost always select the first listing they see, which is the paid ad. And if you're not live on paid search, this gives competitors the opportunity to show in the top spot on common searches. Bidding on your brand terms ensures consistent messaging, and showing both your paid and your organic ads together just dominates the search results and it establishes authority in the eyes of the searcher. Number 4 is all about brand and non-brand keyword organization. So we recommend keeping brand terms in separate campaigns from non-brand terms so we can ensure that your brand terms have maximum presence, adequate budget, and bids applied to achieve top position in search results and keep the messaging consistent. Keeping them separate also ensures that the quality score of the brand terms won't be brought down by the more general non-brand terms. Non-brand terms typically have higher CPCs and will spend the majority of your budget, so it's important to manage these separately. And number 5 is about ad groups. Are your ad groups broken out into niche themes with only a select number of keywords in each? Having your ad groups organized into very tight themes helps ensure that the keyword searched is matched to a relevant ad and then taken to a relevant landing page. This level of granularity and organization will help achieve better quality scores in Google, which in turn should help achieve better CPCs, lead to better click-through rates, and conversion rates. Very often we see campaigns with only a few ad groups and hundreds of keywords in each. So breaking these out into separate groups is tedious, but can really help with performance down the line. Next, we have ad copy. So when was the last time you tested your ad copy? At one point in time, these were all successful and relevant ads, which seems kind of crazy today. So think about the last time you ran an ad copy test or introduced new versions. It may be time for a refresh, particularly for image ads. The ad is the first introduction to your brand, so make those characters count to convey the message and convince the user to click through to your page. Your ad should have a compelling headline and a clear call to action. When running an ad copy test or introducing new ad copy, it is a good idea to have your ads initially rotate evenly to ensure that each gets the same chance of traffic. But once they've all been live long enough, change that setting so that the ads will be optimized for conversions and Google will show the ones most likely to convert. And keep testing. The phrases that worked well 6 months ago may not be the best converting phrases for your audience today. This is especially important for Vantage and image ads. That content can get stale quickly. With text ads, the characters are so limited, so you may find that a certain headline or call to action is most always going to work best. But with image ads and a content or remarketing campaign, it's a good idea to update that creative every few months. So another quick thing to look at in your campaign is ad extensions. You should have at least some of these enabled. These additional lines of text that can show with your ad convey more information to the user and allow your ad to stand out more on the search results page, resulting in higher click-through rates. Google also takes ad extensions into consideration when calculating ad rank, so these are important aspects to include whenever possible. The example on this slide is for an EDU client showcasing the use of site links, call-out extensions, and structured snippets. Site links are clickable links that can take the user to deeper, more relevant areas of your site, such as to info about different locations. The call-out extensions are non-clickable lines of text that can show with your ad to highlight other features like accreditation, specific promotions, or maybe upcoming start dates. And structured snippets allow you to highlight specific aspects of your product or service within given categories, such as a list of degree programs. Most of these are pretty quick to implement, and any opportunity to showcase more information to the user before they click is a good thing. For number 8, one of the most important ad extensions is call extensions. This is a huge aspect to any PPC campaign as the importance of mobile continues to grow. If you can handle inbound calls, you should absolutely be utilizing a phone number extension to allow users to click to call you directly during your business hours. The Google tracking is fairly limited, but there are some great third-party tools for phone call tracking, and some will even integrate with AdWords to allow you to see the actual keywords that are generating calls and aid in optimizations. We've seen phone calls convert up to 3 times the rate of data leads, so maximizing this opportunity to have a caller live on the phone is crucial. Number 9 is about your daily budget. So are some of your campaigns consistently hitting daily budget? If so, you're missing out on potential traffic and conversions later in the day. You don't want your less effective campaigns to eat up all your budget and then allow the successful campaigns to max out before the end of the day. If your budget is limited and you cannot increase the daily cap of your campaign, you need to look for other ways to trim out cost. Maybe pause high CPL keywords, adjust day parting settings to cut out underperforming hours, tighten up your geo-targeting strategy, maybe restrict broad match keywords here. You want to make sure that you're cutting out traffic that isn't performing efficiently and not just relying on Google to stop showing your ad when you hit your cap, potentially missing out on higher performing traffic in later hours of the day when you're no longer running. Next up is day parting. Are your campaigns running 24/7 without any adjustments? When you launch a new campaign, you may have it start out running all days and hours, but once you have enough data and traffic to make a decision, it's time to do an analysis and put some necessary adjustments into place. There are likely going to be at least some days of the week and hours of the day that perform better than others, and this may vary by campaign. But bidding down or excluding the underperforming hours and days and bidding up during your peak hours will ensure that you're maximizing traffic potential and spending the budget efficiently. You don't want to buy clicks that aren't going to convert. And don't just look at channel conversions. Incorporate your offline conversions into your analysis whenever possible. Next up is geo-targeting. So how custom is your geo-targeting strategy? Are campaigns targeting a list of states, one big radius, or even the whole US? A new campaign, again, may start out with a broader geo-target, but once you have enough data available, a custom strategy will be much more effective. Excluding a specific list of zip codes that are not performing and making bid adjustments for certain cities or metro areas will ensure that your budget is being spent effectively. While this can certainly be done in Excel with the data you have, our Sparkroom software allows us to easily identify the top and low converting geos to customize the geo-targeting strategy for each of our clients. Number 12 is all about the landing page. So is your landing page optimized for mobile? Is there a short form without too many fields? Is there a clear call to action? Is there a phone number on the page? By this point in 2016, there's simply no excuse for a landing page that's not mobile optimized. With more users searching on mobile than on desktop, they're just not going to waste their time trying to fill out a form on a page that isn't mobile optimized. And then you'll be missing out on a large audience of mobile users by not catering to them. In addition to being mobile optimized, we also recommend having a phone number on the landing page to give that user another opportunity to call directly rather than fill out the form. Maybe they weren't ready to call when they saw the number in the ad, but now that they've read a little more on the landing page, they're ready to call now. So make sure you're giving them every opportunity to call, since we know that these phone calls will convert better than form leads. And continuing with the importance of mobile, since it makes up such a large audience, you need to be on top of how mobile is performing for your campaigns and adjust accordingly on a regular basis. So make sure you have your mobile bid adjustments in place. If mobile performs well, you should have a large enough bid adjustment to be competitive and show in top position. There are only 2 or 3 spots that will show on a mobile phone, so make sure you're one of those. And number 14 is remarketing. So contrary to the life advice that when people walk away from you, let them go, in marketing, you don't want to let these people go. Remarketing is an important aspect to any PPC account. It allows you to target users who have already been exposed to your brand but just haven't converted yet. Having specific remarketing audiences established will also allow you to apply these lists to certain search campaigns for another layer of targeting and bid adjustments. And lastly, the 15th red flag on our list is the Google notifications icon. So anyone running campaigns in Google AdWords should be familiar with the notification icon at the top right of your dashboard. But many of us may ignore it or just don't check that regularly enough. But these notifications can actually alert you to some quick fixes that will help performance, such as conflicting negatives, a budget order at risk of running out, new keywords to consider adding, location adjustments. While I find these notifications helpful, you do need to take some of them with a grain of salt and really make sure that the change is right for your account before you implement it. I've seen recommendations for keyword additions that just aren't relevant enough for that campaign, or suggestions for lowering bids in a core geo where one of my locations is. So definitely stay on top of these notifications, implement the ones that make sense, and dismiss the rest. So now that we've covered our 15 red flags to look out for, we'll go through a quick hypothetical example to show how a campaign that is not fully optimized is losing money every day. So in this example, we have a PPC campaign that is targeting 3 states, running 24/7, so it's live all days and hours. It's spending about $5,000 a day, which is $150,000 a month. We're getting about 30,000 clicks per month. The average click-to-lead conversion rate is 2%, so we're getting about 600 leads at a CPL of 250. The current acquisition rate for this campaign is 8%, so we're generating 48 acquisitions a month. Now, if we do an analysis to look at performance by zip code per day, which we would use our Sparkroom technology for, this will help us identify zips and hours that are accruing spend, but not leads or acquisitions. So we identify this list of underperforming zip codes to exclude and underperforming early morning hours of the day to exclude from our day parting schedule. Excluding these zips and hours from the campaign reduces spend about 5%. And with that 5% reduction in spend from putting these geo-targeting and day-parting adjustments into place, we're generating slightly less clicks, but our click-to-conversion rate improves to 2.1%. And we still generate the same amount of leads and acquisitions from the performing zips and hours of the day where we're still live. So this means our overall CPA is reduced as well. So we're saving $250 a day, each day, of wasted spend, and we're maintaining the same volume of acquisitions. So $250 a day might not seem like that much money, but that's equivalent to $1,750 per week, and over $7,000 per month. So this really does add up. And that's why all of these little changes and fixes are so important. Individually, each of them may not make that much of an impact, but collectively and over time, having the right adjustments in place and staying on top of these optimizations will make sure that your campaign is effective and efficient with your budget. So with all of the items we mentioned today, it's just important to be continually checking them. Even if you implemented day parting settings 6 months ago, review that updated performance again and make sure those adjustments still make sense today. And if any of these red flags stand out to you, or you feel like your in-house marketing team or your PPC agency might not be fully optimizing your campaigns, come talk to us. Paid search is not a set it and forget it initiative, so you really do need a dedicated team who knows what they're doing, managing your accounts and staying on top of these changes, and making sure that they have the right data at their fingertips to put the right adjustments into place so that your campaigns are optimized and you're spending your budget efficiently. Our paid search team here at Sparkroom has a ton of experience in this space. We've been doing this for years, and we can integrate all our PPC campaigns with Sparkroom technology for super robust and granular data, which really is necessary for implementing the aspects like day parting, geo-targeting, and mobile adjustments that we talked about. You need to be able to slice and dice your data at each different level to identify the right changes. So if you're looking for a more data-driven approach, or you think there's any room for improvement with your current campaigns, we'd really love to chat with you. So with that, I will hand it back over to Michelle for any questions.
Thank you so much, Chelsea. Now I'll take questions from the attendees. If you have any questions for Chelsea, please type them into the questions box on your webinar control panel. If you can't see the control panel at the moment, look for the orange box with the arrow. Click on the arrow and the control panel will expand. All right, we've already had some questions come in. The first one, Chelsea, is how long after a campaign launches should I implement new day parting settings?
So that's really going to depend on the size of your campaign, how much you're spending and how many conversions you're generating. If you have a campaign that's really small and you're only generating a few conversions a day, it may take a while, months even, to build up enough data to actually make decisions on which hours are performing for you. You don't want to prematurely exclude hours until you really have enough data to support that. But if you're spending a significant amount of money each day and generating a decent amount of conversions, you really should have enough data to make those decisions much more quickly, maybe in a matter of weeks.
Great, thank you. I am running a remarketing campaign, but it has a really high CPL. Should I keep it going?
So with remarketing, since remarketing ads run on the Google Display Network, we do expect that those CPLs are going to be higher than that of a search campaign. So you have to have that expectation. Plus, remarketing ads are aiding in brand awareness, so there's additional value to those campaigns outside of the direct conversions they're generating, and you may have view-through conversions for that campaign. But that said, if your budget is limited and you really just don't think remarketing is performing well, you could always test pausing it for a while and just monitor any potential impact to your brand awareness that might have. And if you've been running the campaign for a while and it truly just does not seem cost-effective to continue, by all means pause that. But my overall recommendation would really be to just keep remarketing running, at least with a limited budget if you're able to do so, for that extra branding value that it provides.
Excellent, thank you. So our next question is, does the Sparkroom technology monitor social media advertising as well as Google AdWords?
I don't believe our Sparkroom technology is integrated with social media monitoring, but we do have separate tools that we use on our social team for all of the monitoring on that side.
Great, thank you. Would you recommend using a microsite for PPC campaigns versus directing traffic to the main website? If so, why?
Definitely yes. When someone is clicking through your paid search ad, you want them to go to pretty much a standalone page where their only action is to either call you or submit the form. If you're sending them to another page of your website where they have the option to navigate off that page, you have the potential to lose that person, and then you've paid for the click and you're not going to get the conversion. So we do recommend sending someone to a standalone page in the microsite.
Great, thank you. How do I know how many campaigns is the right number?
So that's really going to depend on the nature of your business. So how is your business structured? How is your website structured? Very often the campaign structure should kind of mirror the outline of your website. So if a given topic has its own section of the site, most likely it should have its own campaign as well. And just really ask yourself, what levels of analysis are you most often going to need and how different will your settings be? If you have a location or a product only in one area that would need different geo-targeting than another product, then definitely separate those into different campaigns. Or if the locations or products are in different time zones, then it's also best to separate those two so that you can set proper day parting based on that time zone. Basically, if you find yourself having to do too much work in Excel after exporting a report in order to get the summary level stats that you need, you might have too many campaigns. But if you find yourself not being able to see the right level of detail or not being able to implement certain custom settings for a given subset of the brand, then you probably need to break out your campaigns more.
Okay, what if I'm at the top of the page for my brand terms and there's no one with a paid ad above me? Do I still need to be active on brand terms?
So I would still say yes. The auction space changes by the day and even by the hour. So you never know when a competitor might enter that space and start showing on similar terms. So it's best to always have coverage on your brand terms, even if you're just allocating a limited budget and you only run on exact match. You want to make sure that if and when someone searches for your brand, that you're the top result front and center for them to click through.
Okay. Can I rely on Google's results for ad testing?
Yes, I would say you can. So when it comes to testing different aspects of your ad copy, you'll want to look at the common metrics, click-through rates, conversion volume, conversion rate, conversions by impression. While it could also be helpful to tie back in, acquisitions to the specific copy or phrases that generated it, it's not entirely necessary since the ad itself is really meant to get the click. Then it's up to your landing page and the copy that's there to get the conversion. So Google's metrics should be more than sufficient to determine results of day-to-day ad copy tests.
Should I use all of the ad extensions available or are there right ones to use?
So here again, I'd say this really depends on your business. So if you have an inbound call center and it makes sense for users to call you, then absolutely try the call extensions. And if you have multiple locations and it's helpful for users to see those on the map, then you should link in your location extensions. And site links and call-out extensions are really just opportunities for extra text to show with your ad. So as long as you have additional aspects to promote, these should be applicable to most businesses. Structured snippets, though, are limited to specific categories, so this would only make sense if one of those categories is applicable to your business. So there really is no right or wrong ad extension. It's just a matter of adding in as many that would make sense for your business or your brand.
Okay, if I'm using a microsite, what are some tips for keeping people from thinking that's our main site, which doesn't look very established or comprehensive?
So if you're using a microsite, I'd really recommend using a subdomain of your actual page so that you're still getting the value of, a .edu or a, .com that the actual brand has. And just make sure that the goal of the page is to get that conversion. So have enough information to have people understand what that is, but then have very clear call to actions, a very clear form, and make sure that the main action that someone can take there is to convert. And if they're looking for more information, then maybe they'll click on the organic link.
Great, thank you so much, Chelsea. If any attendees have any additional questions or like further information, please feel free to reach out to us at webinars@sparkroom.com. Thank you for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for your time. For more performance marketing resources, including our series of on-demand webinars, go to sparkroom.com/resources.